Well, the volatility of 2022 doesn't seem to be going anywhere, especially for global markets. When we look at US indices, they had a sharp whipsaw. But before we head there, let's look at what data has come through over the last day or so. US jobless claims came in at the highest since October of 2021, with unemployment data in the US hinting that the surge in Omicron may be hurting the recovery. Jobless claims came in at 286,000 versus the Dow estimate of 225,000. Mind you, it was at 231,000 last week. In other news, of course, there was Netflix, which came out with its earnings. The shares, in fact, tumbled 19% after that miss, especially with regard to growth on the subscriber side of things. Moving on to how indices whipsawed. Well, Dow had gained almost 450 points before it closed over 300 points lower, a 700 point whipsaw that the Dow saw, and it closed lower by 0.9% in trade. The S&P 500 had gained over 1.5% in early trade before closing 1.1% lower, and the Nasdaq was no different. In fact, even higher, 2.1% higher at the start before closing off 1.3% lower. The index is now down 5% already, almost 5% already for the week, and the index is now over 10% lower since the start of November. So when we look at the data, the Nasdaq looks beaten at the moment over the last 2 to 3 months. Moving on to Europe, European markets closed higher. Traders were monitoring both inflation as well as earnings, but the indices still moved higher. The DAX was up 2/3%. The FTSE 100 absolutely flat, in fact down 6 basis points. The CAC 40 was up around 1/3%, while the Stock 600 was up around 0.5% in trade yesterday. The Asian indices were also largely higher, with the Hang Seng leading the gains, almost 3.5% up. The Hang Seng yesterday after China cut some of its key policy rates. However, Asian markets have followed their US peers in early trade today. We look at the Nikkei, it's down around 1.4%. The Shanghai is down around 0.5%. The ASX 200 is down 1.5%, while the Kospi is down 0.4% in early trade. The Hang Seng is the only index holding on to some semblance of a gain. It's up just about 10 basis points in early trade today. When we look at the SGX Nifty, that is headed lower as well. It's down around 0.75% in early trade today. So not good cues, especially for India, from all of these this current environment. Oil prices though have corrected. They were down 3% since the highs, and now they're at around $83 a barrel, with Brent at $86 a barrel. Gold is holding out smartly. It's at $1837 an ounce, and the dollar index has gained slightly. It's at 95.8 in very early trade today. The US 10-year treasuries breached the 1.83% before falling off. They've fallen 6 to 7 basis points. It's down at 1.77% currently. And there has been a sharp decline in Bitcoin. In fact, it fell below that benchmark $40,000 mark, and it's currently just above that $40,000 mark. So Bitcoin has seen a bit of a fall as we speak. In fact, it's down almost or over 4% as we speak, almost 4.5% as we speak, just below that $40,000 mark. That's how global markets are looking in early trade today.